remember me. I was kidnapped from my home. I am surrounded by women that look like me, and yet I still feel alone. Transported to a place called Pakistan, that surprisingly is not too far from my homeland. Still, how can I expect to live freely when my identity outcasts me from the society? I pour out my heart in this notebook that I know no one will read, because here, no one cares about the stories of a woman like me. Little do they know, my history begins in the 1st century, and yet, who will remember me? I work as a domestic servant in this foreign land, struggling with unfamiliar faces, struggling with who I am. No one here cares about what makes me unique. The only thing they care about is whether I am slave or free. I am forced to compact the complexities of my identity, so who will remember me? They call me Nakar, they call me Kafir. These titles are all reminders of the reason that I am here. What gall they have to not even learn my name. I fear that upon living here, I will never be the same. It is so easy to lose sight of who I am in this land. If I do not remember my old self, then who can? Who I used to be is of no interest to the people who have thrown me into slavery. And thus who will remember me? Who will remember me? Who will remember me? Who will remember me? Day in and day out, I long for nothing more than to just get out. All hopes for love have been stolen from me because my once husband has been castrated upon orders by the king. The thing about this life that discourages me the most is the reality that they rip you from your homeland and take away the things you care about the most. Our old dreams of starting a family disappeared as soon as he pledged his loyalty to this military. Such dire sacrifices made to satisfy and please, and yet still, who will remember me? Who will remember me?
Black women in India today is different from yesterday. Yes, they say yesterday is gone, and today is a new day. But it seems like we are set back unto slavery days in a different way. Yesterday, I was valued and priced like a queen. Today, I am set apart and not even worth the work of art. I am not seedy, so I am not trusted. I am not the same as my ancestors, but seen as a threat. Who would have known Indians could be racist? My skin doesn't match theirs, so I'm a hazard. No reason to be equal, because I am not ancestors' people. Little did they know that my history is their culture now and then. I am a part of the now. My culture is a part of the then. Most Indians don't even know. They are derived from Africans, which is why I am confused. Why am I a threat when I am just like you? But a shade darker. A shade darker because the sun beams on me, as I wanted to know my history. So this is why I returned to India to learn, but instead of learning my history, I'm learning how to survive in a racist land that was once mine. Even though I'm a shade darker, I should be able to be seen as the cities in your history. Trustworthy, loyal, a queen to be, getting her degree. But I am an African in India today, wishing it was yesterday. So I am treated just like my ancestors were.
My life has been distorted, castrated, confined, emasculating, never ending. The will that I had presumed to be mine has been cultivated into coffee, cocoa, sugar, and cotton, a fatal byproduct on the way to the Americas. packed in like sardines in a can, where my body has become a matter of policy, reduced into a piece of meat by an animal-like act, based on the biology of my body, wrestled into submission by sheer force. I have become a being characterized by invisibility, inferiority, and bitterness. An unwanted fruit that hangs from the poplin trees. There is no happiness in motherhood for a slave, destined to suffer in a realm of agony, despair, and fear. Woven into tradition lies the narrative of men. What has to be said about my resistance? It lies in my desire for survival, ascending that of any males. Didn't you know, as a caretaker, mother, woman, I toiled in the field alongside men, created the hearth, held society together, and dominated the white man's household, claiming my throne as the heroine of my own story. Look for the black woman's story in the history of colonization. There, you will find silence and distortions. I would expect nothing less from a world that thrives off of oppression.
Growing up, I never gave much thought to my origin. I never became particularly attached to things or places. But my origin was what I knew, what I've always been around, what I've never questioned. I'm American. I began to take note of how my hair never grew blonde nor straight, how clothing labeled nude could never possibly be nude on me. The way my lips are bigger, nose rounder, and eyes darker. I don't seem to find anything wrong with these differences. But is that the only way I'm different? I seem to be the only one in all of my classes. I never minded. I could feel the eyes on me during the slavery chapter in history. That one and only chapter that even mentioned the people from Africa. But are those really my people? Am I African or am I American? Most of my friends are white. They can never quite understand what it means to be black, to feel under a constant state of attack, how it feels to represent your whole race in everything you do, what it's like to see those headlines in the news and wonder if your brother's name would have mine too. But it's also when I'm surrounded by family at the dinner table. It's the pride we take in our community. It's when we acknowledge those heroes who stood before us to bring us to where we are now. I can't describe it. It's all I ever knew. It's what I've always been around. It's what I've never questioned. I'm African American.
They say I don't act black because I talk proper, poised, happy, not that angry black girl. Not out here shaking my ass. Way too much class to be walking around here like a black girl. You know, that black girl over there, the one with the nappy hair, a little attitude, and just naturally rude. It must be a weed, or she must be mixed. Because you know, black girls, they don't have that good shit. They say I'm not your typical black girl because the pigment in my skin is a couple of shades lighter than the other black girls. You know, I'm that light-skinned chick who's probably stuck up and thinks she's better than everyone. Oh, how it must be much easier to be living as a light-skinned girl. But when did me talking right equate to me talking white? And when did straight hair become good hair? And when did stereotypes within my own race make it any easier for a black girl today? You know, the light-skinned slaves got to work inside cooking, cleaning. But did they forget that they also were getting raped and beaten? Last time I checked, it didn't matter how much melanin you had. Light skin, dark skin, still 3/5 of a human.